Okay, good morning, guys. This will be video number 2, so hopefully everyone is enjoying this so far. Making these videos is really weird because I don't actually see your guys' faces. I don't see your expressions when I say really strange things, and I know I'm saying really strange things because I'll watch these videos back and be like, why the heck did I say that? So, these are just some things that I noticed when you guys were starting to turn stuff in yesterday. And so this first part of the video is just going over some tips and some updates since we last talked on Thursday, because lots been going on. So the first thing is, good job with day 1. For the most part, everyone was able to complete the quiz that I made for attendance. But the first thing I want to talk about is everyone, and wait, hold on, I gotta show you guys this one thing. I found a way to make a pointer so that when I say like, hey, look at this thing, I can like be pointing at it. It's little things. I can also do a lightsaber. Yeah. Anyway, so first thing, always watch a video first whenever I post that. You're gonna have to watch that video and take notes on it in order to complete the attendance quiz. The attendance quiz is there so I know that you guys are actually watching these videos fully and taking notes and not just like pressing play and walking away, because I know some of you would try to do that. The other thing is, communicate with me as much as possible. A lot of you did really well with that. On Monday, you were communicating when you had issues and when like the quiz locked you out or whatever it was. So that was really good. I sent 2 remind messages on Monday, so if you did not get those, or maybe you didn't get a message from me this morning saying good morning, make sure you're setting up your notifications correctly with the Remind app. You can just shoot me a message through Canvas and I can try to troubleshoot from there, but make sure you're getting those messages because that's going to be the easiest way for me to get information out to you guys quickly and not through a video all the time. The other thing is, try to complete everything before 2:25 because I don't want to be answering questions all day. It's as easy as that. I know I said on Thursday, like, I was cool if you guys wanted to complete stuff throughout whatever time of the day, but it's going to be so much easier for me to answer your questions and help you guys out if you're doing it during the actual school day. Otherwise, I'm just going to be sitting on my laptop nervously all night waiting for you guys to ask me a question when you might not even have one. So try to get stuff turned in before 2:25, and I'll be the most help then. Some general updates. No, I'm not actually quarantined, but we are not allowed to go into the building anymore. So that whole thing where if you had any questions or needed some extra help, you could come see me like face to face in my classroom. That's not really a thing. But if you still need me and you want to meet face to face, we could set some type of like Skype call up. And we can talk more about that later throughout the week. I don't think that's really needed right now. The other thing I've been asked about is remediation for Unit 5. So I'm still going to let you guys do that. It's just going to look a little different. It's actually going to be a little bit easier now. If you want to remediate that test, you need to make sure you're signed up for Khan Academy. So in Khan, I've already uploaded every single assignment you need to complete, and as long as you get that stuff done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your Khan Academy scores and average them with whatever your test score was. So it could be pretty easy if you just get the work done, but I still want to give you guys that option because I know some of you are looking forward to retaking that Unit 5 test. I think that's it for just general updates. Now for tomorrow, Wednesday, we are going to take our first like virtual standard check. So these should be like a typical standard check. It's Oh, I just realized I put 100 pats. That doesn't make any sense. It should be 100 points, so ignore that. 100 points. See, guys, we all make mistakes. Oh, my pointer. Okay, there it is. So, 100 points for standard check, just like it normally would be. There's not going to be a video tomorrow. No video, because I know my videos take a while. So no video, you're just going to be worried about taking that standard check. So only taking the quiz. The usual class period that you're in is when you're going to take the quiz. So if you're in my first period, that means you're also in my fourth period. So I thought it'd be really nice and make you guys take it in fourth and not actually in first. So you get to sleep in during first if you would like. Second period, you're going to take it during 8:37 to 9:29. That's the usual class time. Third period, 9:34 to 10:26. Fourth period, you guys get a little bit of extra time, I would say, but really it should not take you that extra time. And I think I actually have it set up where it locks after 55 minutes, just like everyone else's. So as soon as you start, it'll stop after 55 minutes. So depending on whether you want to take it before lunch or after lunch, that's up to you. And then fifth period, 12:36 to 1:28. If you have an issue, I know people are watching siblings now, and you might not be wanting to complete your work right at that certain time. You have to reach out to me by today, Tuesday, so that I can accommodate that with your quiz, okay? They're already set up in Canvas, and so if you don't tell me before Wednesday, then it's going to lock, and then I don't really know how else to open it unless I open it to everyone. So make sure you are communicating with me if you cannot take your quiz during this time. The last couple of things, use your notes. I know it's not going to be like a typical class time when you can raise your hand and just ask me a question. These quizzes are not going to be like the typical quizzes in class. They're going to be pretty straightforward. The point of this virtual learning is just for me to make sure you guys are doing some sort of math, some sort of geometry. I'm not trying to amp up the rigor in any sense, or like make this class harder in any sense because we're online now. I really just want to make sure you guys are doing math every day, if you hate it or not. So use your notes and not other people, okay? Not each other. I know how much it is of, I don't know. I know how easy it might be to just want to cheat, but just be good students. Just be good math students that don't want to let myself down and do the best you can, okay? As I promise, as long as you do your notes and your homework with the class time, with the videos that I post, you'll be fine. And I wouldn't be too worried about it. The last thing with that, and I am going to star it, highlight it, because it's the probably most important part, is you need to submit your actual work, and that's going to be in a separate Canvas assignment, so it's not going to be the actual standard check. There's going to be another assignment that'll be open all day long, and it's going to be open from 7:40 to 2:25, and that's when you're going to submit your actual, like, where you would write notes, okay? So yeah, I think that's everything for updates and whatnot. The rest of this video is just going to be me doing more problems to prepare you all for your standard check tomorrow. So that practice sheet is on Canvas, so if you haven't already downloaded it and printed it, if that's what you like to do, I would pause and go do that. I'm actually going to pause my video in a minute and get my worksheet out. But if you are not able to print it out, then just get out a sheet of notebook paper and you'll just write it down with me. So yeah, if you have any questions over any of this stuff, please reach out to me, okay? Communicate. All right, so I'll be back in just a second. So I just realized I forgot to kind of explain what I mean by submitting your work. to Canvas after your standard check. So that just means as you're working out problems, you should be doing that on a blank sheet of paper. And all I want to see is just that you are actually doing the work on your own. So make sure when you're doing the problems, you have at the top of your paper your name, and then I don't have to see all your work. I just want to see as much as you can fit into one photo. If you really want to show me all your work, that's fine too. I just know that it's a lot easier just to upload one picture as opposed to several. So if you have not submitted a picture to Canvas before as an assignment, again, communicate with me and I can try to troubleshoot that for you and help you through that process. But really, I just want to make sure that you're doing the problems on your own, or and not just copying answers from your neighbor or whoever you're getting answers from. Other thing is, I just watched my video again and I realized I'm still sniffling. I don't understand what's wrong with me. I can't stop sniffling. I'm not even like, I don't know what's up. It's weird. So anyway, let's get into notes. So the first part of this is just formula review, which is kind of what we did at the beginning of the last video. And so if I talk about the sum of interior angles of a polygon, that is that lovely n minus 2 times 180 formula. Oh gosh, I told you guys my stylus is coming in on Wednesday. No, Tuesday. So I'll have it by Wednesday. So it'll get much better. The interior angle of a regular polygon, so that's when I would just want to find a single angle. That's when I take n minus 2 times 180 and I divide all of that by n. Okay? And then the sum of exterior angles of a polygon, that's always 360. And then if I just want to find a single exterior angle of a regular polygon, I take 360 and divide by n. Okay? So, if we know all of these formulas, then we should be good to go. My first practice question, and as you're going along with these, if you're doing the problems, like maybe you pause right now, do problem number 1, and then you can fast forward and just see if my answer is the same as yours. So some of you might not have to watch like the entirety of this video because you already know how to do all these problems. So you could just wait to see what my answer is. That would be just fine. So number 1, what is the sum of the measures of the interior angles in a polygon? So sum. So that's when I gotta use n minus 2 times 180. So a pentagon is a 5-sided shape, so n equals 5. So I'm gonna have 5 minus 2 times 180, and I get 540 degrees. Okay? Make sure you're doing these in your calculator. Don't just follow along mindlessly with me. That's not helpful. It's helpful when you're actually doing these problems with me. Number 2, what is the sum of the measures of the interior angles? So again, we're looking at sum, so we want all the angles added together. But this time we're working with a 27 gon, so my n is actually 27. So I'm going to take 27 minus 2 times 180. And I get 4,500. Number 3, let's go red. What is the measure of each interior angle? So each interior angle, that's when I have to take the sum and divide it by the number of sides. So my number of sides would be 8 for an octagon, so n equals 8. So I'm going to have 8 minus 2 times 180 divided by 8. So my sum would have been 180. Then when I divide that by 8, I get 135 degrees. Number 4, what is the measure of each? So again, I'm looking for a single interior angle of a regular 20 gon. So n equals 20. And I have 20 minus 2 times 180. And then I'm going to take that and divide by 20. So my sum would have been 3,240. If I divide that by 20, I get 162. Okay, so far so good. Gonna have to zoom out. 5 angles of a hexagon. So hexagon is a 6-sided shape. If I only have 5 of the angles, that means I'm missing one of them. So the 5 angles that they're giving me are here. What's the measure of the 6th angle? So first, something helpful that I should know is what's the total measure of the interior angle. So to find the total, I would take 6 minus 2, because it's a 6-sided shape, times 180, and I would get 720. So then I know that if I take 119 plus 129 plus 104 plus 139 plus 95, if I take that sum and I subtract it from 720, that would give me that missing 6th angle. So all of these angles added together are actually 586. So I'm going to take 720 minus 586, and that's going to give me that 6th angle, which would be 134 degrees. Okay, number 6, the sum of the interior angles. So sum, so that's that n minus 2 times 180, is 1,620. So how many sides? So this is when we don't know what n is. So if I take n minus 2 times 180 equal, just that, equals 1,620. Wow, I can't talk right now. Now I want to solve for n. So you can do this 2 ways. So one way we talked about in class was first dividing by 180. And if I divide by 180, I would get n minus 2 equals 9. And then if I add 2 to both sides, I get n equals 11. So that means there's 11 sides to this polygon. Another way you could have done it is to distribute that 180 and then solve from there instead of divide by 180 first. So either way would have worked. Number 7, let's use green. So 7, the sum of the interior angles. So sum is 3,960. How many sides does a polygon have? So this is just like number 6. So I'm going to take n minus 2 times 180 equals 3,960. I'm going to use the divide by 180 method again first. So then what happens is these are canceling. So then that's where I'm just left with n minus 2 on the left hand side equals, and I get 22. And then I add 2. So n equals 24. I don't like the green, it's too highlightery for me. Number 8, what is the sum of the measures? So sum of the measures of exterior angles in a nonagon. So really, I don't have to know much about the polygon, because we should know that the sum of the measures of when I'm talking about any polygon and its exterior measures, it's always 360. Doesn't matter what kind of polygon it is. So that's a pretty easy one. Then number 9, what's the measure of each exterior angle? So this is when we got to do a little bit more work. So each exterior angle, that's when I want to find a single angle on the outside of a 20gon. So 20gon, that means n equals 20. And if I know that the sum of the exterior angles is always 360, I'm going to take 360 and divide by 20 to get 18 degrees. And that would be the measure of one exterior angle in a 20gon. Alright, so I'm going to flip to the next page. And these are crossed out because we actually already did 14 and 17 on a different worksheet, so we don't have that many left. Number 10, if I look at the exterior angle of a regular polygon measures 9 degrees, how many sides does that polygon have? So I know that if I take a single exterior angle, so when I'm talking about a single exterior angle, that's when I use the 360 divided by n formula. So if that has to equal 9 degrees, I would solve n by first multiplying by n on both sides to cancel n on my left side. And I get 360 equals 9n. Then you would do what? This is when you guys would say, oh, divide by n, Miss Jackson. And you would be correct, because then I get n equals 40. So that would be a 40-sided shape. Number 11, if the interior angle of a regular polygon, so now we're talking about the inside angles. So whenever you're talking about inside angles, you're probably talking about n minus 2 times 180. And since we're talking about a single angle, that's when we gotta divide by n at the very end. So again, I'm trying to figure out how many sides, so that's why I don't have anything inputted for my n in this equation. But I know that all the interior angles they each have a measure of 108 degrees. So the first thing I would do to get n by itself, it kind of seems weird, but I gotta multiply by n, because when I multiply by n, that's gonna get n out of my denominator on this left side. And so then I have n minus 2 times 180 equals 108n. I don't know why I'm saying 108, 108n. Then, I'm actually going to move down into this box in a second. Then I am going to have to distribute this 180. So if I distribute, I'd have 180n, or 180 times n, minus 360 equals 108n. Now I can combine my like terms. So my n's, and the way I'm going to do that, I'm actually going to subtract 180n from both sides. They're going to cancel over here. And I get negative 360 equals negative 72n. And then you would divide by negative 72, just like you all said. And n equals 5. Okay, so it's important to see what you're actually trying to find. If you're trying to find however many sides, that means you don't know what n is. But if you're trying to figure out what the sum of something is, or what the actual measure of an angle is, you're probably just going to use a formula straightforward. The rest of these are more so using the shapes first, then figuring out what formula to use. So with 12, I'm given the angle measures for all but one of the interior angles. So interior angles, that means if I could figure out the sum, I could figure out what x is. So the sum would have to be the sum of a quadrilateral, because this is a 4-sided shape. So I know all quadrilaterals, their interior angles add up to 360 degrees. So if I take all of these angles, 79 plus 110 plus 55, I would get 244. If I subtract 244 from 360, that should give me x, because that means that's what x would have to be in order for all these angles to add up to that desired 360 degrees. So that means x would be 116 degrees. Okay. If you're wondering where that 244 came from, it's from adding up 79, 110, and 55. Okay. So 13. If I can move this. Maybe. There you go. 13. First I'm going to figure out what type of polygon this is. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sides. So that means it's a heptagon. A heptagon, if you didn't memorize, so if I have 7 minus 2 times 180, that means a heptagon, its interior angle sum is 900. So all of these angles have to add up to 900 degrees. So I'm going to take 148 plus 140 plus 136, skipping x because I don't know what that is, plus 142 plus 150, and I'm not going to forget about this angle down here. This is a right angle, and we know right angles are always measured to be 90 degrees, so I'm also going to add in that 90 degrees at the very end. So when I take all of those angles and add them together, I get 806. So if I subtract 806 from 900, that's going to give me what x should be, which is 94 degrees. Okay. Alright, like I said, 14 we already did, so if you want to do it again, you can do it again, but it was in the last video from yesterday. 15, we're working with a quadrilateral again, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So all of those angles added together have to equal 360. I can't really add them as easily this time because they're actually what's called a binomial. They all have 2 terms with them. So I'm going to have to write all these out. So I'm going to have 8x plus 7 plus 5x plus 18 plus 10x plus 13 plus 14x minus 11. Ooh, just enough room. Alright, so I'm going to combine my like terms. So if I look at my x's first, I have 8x plus 5x plus 10x plus 14x. If I add all of those up, don't want that just yet. Bring down my 360. I would have 37x. Then if I take my remaining constants, 7 plus 18 plus 13 minus 11, I would get plus 27. Okay, now it just turned into a linear equation, so I'm going to subtract 27. And I get 333 equals 37x. Divide by 37 on both sides. And x equals 9. Now the directions say find the measure of angle B. I'm not actually going to do that. Instead, you can find it, but all you would have to do is input x for angle B. So 9 times 8 plus 7, which actually turns out to be pretty easy. It's just 79 degrees. Alright, last one. If you've made it this far, you deserve a cookie. Alright, so number 16, we're solving for x And one of the key things on this problem is it's telling us that all the sides are congruent with these little tick marks. So since all the sides are congruent, that means this is what we call a regular polygon. So that means all the angles are congruent as well. So we can actually do a couple of things to solve this one. So first I'm going to figure out how many sides is actually on this thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's a 10-sided shape, so it's a decagon. So if I take 10 minus 2 times 180 and divide by 10, I would get 144. So 144, that is one of the interior angles. That's what one of the interior angles would equal since it is a regular polygon. Okay, I couldn't do this in problem number 15 because in 15 they weren't all congruent angles. I didn't know that they were all congruent, so I had to first find the sum. You could still do problem 16 by finding the sum and just taking 10 of these angles, but since I only need to figure out what one of them is, or solve for x, I'm just going to figure out what one single angle would be. So now all I have to do is set that 10x plus 4 equal to 144. And so then I would subtract 4, and I get 10x equals 140. Then you divide by 10, and x turns out to be 14. Okay? So that is all I have. You have had many practice problems now on this topic. I know we've been really drilling this topic for a while now. Sorry if you're getting bored. I promise after Wednesday we will move on to new stuff and it'll be a little bit more interesting, hopefully. But yeah, if any of these problems you weren't following very well, or I just simply went too fast, please reach out. I'd love to help you before Wednesday hits, but I wouldn't stress too much about this standard check. Just making sure that you have good, adequate notes and you've actually been paying attention. You should be perfectly fine for Wednesday. But that's all I got for today. I still miss you guys. I hope you're all doing well, and hopefully we get to talk soon. Bye.